Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charnley. This is another Worcestershire church. This is the Church of St John the Baptist, White Ladies Aston. Now you can tell a certain amount about an English village from its name, and there are various kinds of names. Aston simply means East Town, and so sometimes you find Aston on its own, but more often you'll find Aston with something attached to it. In this case, White Ladies. The White Ladies, of course, were nuns, and it tells us that the parish belonged to a nunnery. The nuns, of course, would have provided a vicar who served the parish, and they would have taken the tithes. So it would have helped to sustain the nunnery, and then out of the tithes they would pay a vicar. The building dates back in part to the 12th century. There are a number of later features, and a whole aisle was added on the north side in the middle part of the 19th century. As we look around, we'll see some of the memorials. You can see already what a simple building it is in many ways. And we'll look at the memorials, and then, of course, outside see some of the more interesting features there. So, without further ado, let us explore the building. So we start at the west end as usual. This is fairly common for rural Worcestershire churches. There is no tower, there is rather a wooden belfry, and you can see here this is one of the timbers that supports it. There's another one over here, and there's in front of the timber is a cast iron pillar, because we want to make sure the building is quite secure. The Victorian aisle here has these rather nice stripy columns and 3 bells. This is the Norman doorway. The font also is Norman. You can see there where the lock would have been, because in the Middle Ages there were superstitious ideas about what you could do if you got hold of holy water. Interestingly, the hymn book here, they have hymns and psalms. It's really a Methodist book, but it was intended to be a more ecumenical book, but it may very well indicate a union with the local Methodists at some point. We have the War Memorial here. Only a few names again, because it's really quite a small village, bigger than it used to be actually. It has grown, and we've got flower arrangements here, and move along this aisle, which is an addition. There at the end, that's the Mothers' Union banner, and we've got some rather sentimental pictures of the early life of Christ. You've got the Holy Family in Egypt and 12 years old. Now, there's of course a question: how long actually were they in Egypt? Because they wouldn't actually been in Egypt very long, because certainly not as long as they imagine. Lord's Prayer there. Just the one window on the south side of the nave. Nice Victorian pulpit. Very simple chancel arch here. And here we have a memorial of 2nd Lieutenant H.S. Sherwood, killed in action 28th of the 8th, 18. And he was the son of the vicar, Reverend Henry Martin Sherwood. This is, of course, the battlefield cross. It's been taken from the battlefield from his grave there in France, when the cemeteries were set up, and it's been repatriated, brought back to England. There's actually a date here on the aisle. I was looking for it. It's hidden behind a flower arrangement. 1861. And so we go into the chancel. You just see there's a modern rail that's been added for the pulpit. Very good idea. There's a couple of memorials to some notable military men. This is Major General Richard Goodall Elrington, who died in 1845, entered the army aged 14 and served during the French Revolutionary War in Holland, at Famars, at Valenciennes. He was shot through the body while bearing the colours of the 14th Regiment before Dunkirk. Notice the conspicuous gallantry before Goodall amassed them in Lord Cathcart's dispatches against Willie wounded at St Vincent in the West Indies. Having joined the 47th Regiment, he joined with it in action at Maldonado, Montevideo, and Buenos Aires in South America. subsequently Ras el Khaimah in the Persian Gulf, took part in the capture of Palamodisa, Kirja and Rishanpur, and you can see just very, very active military. On the other side we have memorial to Major General John Montresor Pilcher, Colonel Commandant the Royal Marine Light Infantry, died Draycott Lodge, Kempsey, 18th November 1873, aged 90, and 70 years in the in commission. 1801, the attack on the Spanish fleet off Cadiz. 1803, engaged in the North Sea. 1804, HMS Raisonnable, probably pronounced reasonable, but the name Raisonnable says this is a French ship that we captured, and we did that. We just kept the names. He was 1905 in Culler's action, defeated the fleets of France and Spain in the action of August the 16th with the Topaz on the French frigate. 1806 in the attack and capture of the Cape of Good Hope. Attack and defeat the Spanish capture of Buenos Aires. So he and General Elrington would have been able to swap stories. Fought in the War of 1812 and served at St Helena during the last 9 months of the life of Napoleon, and present with the troops at his interment. So, because Royal Marines shipboard troops in those days, what they would have done is provided, well, someone like him, he would be an officer on one of the big ships. East window here is, the window itself is Norman. There's a relatively modern east window. And here we have Hamilton Thomas Gorton, Lieutenant Bengal Engineers, died 1861, buried at Diamond Harbour, Calcutta. Communion table, Victorian rails, more Elrington memorials here. Thomas Elrington, who served at the battles of Fontenoy, Falkirk, Culloden, Layfeld, etc., served in America under General Braddock and Lord Amherst. So he serves in the American Revolutionary War. Another Norman window there, so that tells us that the chancel is Norman as well. Some nice timbers up there. And looking west, you can see at the bottom part of the belfry, and there is that bracing cross timber on the nave. There's some evidence there may have been a nave ceiling that's been removed at some point. Yes, there definitely was. I can see where it would have fitted in, but obviously been opened up to give a bit of a higher ceiling. So that's the inside here. These military men in the chancel, and then this beautiful nave. So let's go outside and see the Norman work on the outside. And so here we are outside at White Ladies Aston. As I said, it's named, or the White Ladies bit gets its name from the nuns. In fact, the Cistercian nuns, of course, they're named White Ladies because their habits are white. And the Cistercian nuns of Worcester, they have a nunnery convent there in the city, and a number of parishes then are given to them to support them. This is one of them. You can see behind me this beautiful building. See the render there on the nave, and this lovely belfry with its wooden spire above. So we'll have a look around the outside, point out the interesting features of this Norman building. Most of the older churches in England are Norman. There are very few Anglo-Saxon ones, but the Anglo-Saxons tended to build of wood. It didn't mean they were more primitive, it just meant that they preferred wood. The Normans liked to build in stone, and you can see here in the chancel that Norman window, that 12th century, perhaps even 11th century. The tower has recently been repaired, which is nice, but obviously the form reflects what was there. It's just the outer cladding needs to be replaced so often. The porch is probably Victorian, maybe even later, but again it's very much based on 14th century wooden porches in the county. It's always a good idea when it comes to restoration to ask what sort of architecture the county boast. Here we have Norman window. You can see the top has been renewed and a cross has been inserted. That's actually very modern. undoubtedly because they need to get some ventilation in there. Nice spreading tree, vestry there, and you can see the you can very much see there the aisle rising above the vestry. Normal place for the vestry. Another normal window there. You can see there with its top of the window has been cut out of a single piece of stone. It's not completely regular. Why would it need to be? The exterior would have been originally rendered, it's been plastered and then painted to make it look like solid stone. We've got these twin lancets in the aisle, and the Norman north doorway has been carefully taken out and rebuilt here because it's a very beautiful piece of work. So that is the north side. And obviously the building is all here, the north side is all 1861, and the west end has been renewed at the same time. Probably needed a bit of work done on it, but also if you're putting something on it, get this nice regular appearance here. So a nice big yew tree by the door, very commonly found in churchyards, in historic churchyards, yew trees. We go round here, just have a look at the Norman doorway. It's a very simple Norman doorway. It's not one of these elaborate ones that you find later. So that is the Norman doorway, and that then is White Ladies Aston, the eastern township of the belonging to the Cistercian nuns. So that's it, St John's, White Ladies Aston. Beautiful Norman building with those military gentlemen's memorials inside. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Again, I've enjoyed making it, and thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.